What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall market. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. Anyways, as far as Tesla's going, as you guys can tell, Tesla's down 6% so far. We dropped towards the 224 area only to rebound just a bit, but we're going to be watching to see if we get a rejection again. Looking at the bigger time frames, as you guys can tell, Tesla's on a bit of a downtrend. We're making lower highs and lower lows, and we're continuing to fall right now, so just keep that in mind. But let me just make it very, very clear that with this downtrend that's being established, there is a lot of weakness in the market still amidst all the geopolitical news and some news about Tesla. So I want to break down the news first. I'll break down what's happening with the share prices. As far as Tesla goes, we're getting some bad news. Dan Ives is saying that Tesla is in a bad state right now. They have a code red, and he says that Elon Musk needs to step down from Doge like right now as soon as possible, because if he doesn't, things are very, very tough for Tesla with the decline in their sales. There's been some talk about how we're anticipating that there might be a slowdown in their margins. We might be looking at weaker margins. We might be looking for a potential miss in earnings and a bunch of weak factors like that for Tesla, at least for the shorter term. That's why Dan Ives and different investors are saying that Tesla should see Elon Musk spending more time focusing on the company with all this bad news that's continuing to come out. Right now, he's dedicating a large chunk of his time working for Doge. He's a leader. And the issue is that, with limited time, it's really having a negative effect on Tesla. So, you know, although we heard many political officials saying that Elon Musk will be stepping down from Doge soon, we need to see if Tesla confirms this during their earnings call and just to see how this ends up affecting things. So we'll see how it goes. So keep that in mind. But then overall, it's also going to be affecting our earnings and such. So we'll see if Musk steps down. I heard that he might step down from being a leader, but then he might still just be an advisor on the sidelines. I do believe he'll eventually do that, so we'll see how it goes. But we just have to wait for confirmation. There's also headlines coming out that Tesla's reportedly delaying the launch of its new low-cost models. With that potentially happening, it's not the best of news for them. I'm seeing this all over the news right now. Although Tesla has not commented or said anything about this, many sources, especially Reuters, suggest that Tesla was supposed to debut many affordable models during the first half of this year, but now they may not come until later 2025, if not early 2026, according to reports. So a delay in the affordable EVs is going to be affecting things, especially when it comes to China, as there's a lot of competition. So we'll see how it goes for them. But for now, this is what reports suggest, so it's not the best of news. On top of this, for the overall market, there's been news about China, about how in China, they are threatening higher tariffs if we see other countries making deals with the US that are not in their interest, so keep that in mind. That's some very, very important news. Now, President Trump is making some important comments. He is warning of an economic slowdown, and he's also criticizing Jerome Powell. So I'm going to actually read his actual post on Truth Social. This is actually what President Trump had said. Keep in mind, guys, that I personally don't want to get too political a lot of the time. I just have to speak about President Trump a lot because he's causing so much volatility in the stock market, and that's the only reason why I report him. So all this volatility that's coming has to do with what he says, what he's doing with tariffs and such, and that's why I do talk about that. So let me just say that I don't want to favor any side. I don't want to do anything like that. I just want to be very unbiased. So that being said, what has President Trump said? There's news that's come out that President Trump mentioned that preemptive cuts in interest rates are being called for by many, with energy costs way down, food prices substantially lower, and most other things trending down. There's virtually no inflation, according to President Trump. With these costs trending so nicely downward, just what I predicted they would do, there can almost be no inflation, but there can be a slowing of the economy unless Mr. Too Late, a major loser, lowers interest rates now. And he's referring to Jerome Powell. He said that Jerome Powell has always been too late, except when it came to the election period when he lowered rates. So, he's getting very political with a lot of these statements, but my main point is that he referred to Jerome Powell as Mr. Too Late, a major loser. He's saying that Jerome Powell is too late at cutting rates, and he's warning of an economic slowdown, a slowdown of the economy, if we don't end up seeing rates being cut now. So, Donald Trump is criticizing Jerome Powell now, and it's causing some fear amongst investors. So this, alongside the Chinese news, is not the best of news. That's why the market's slowing down. And then there's also news involving Tesla. Also, not so good news for Tesla. That's why we're seeing the share price dumping. So we want to see if Tesla could reclaim 227 to rebound. If not, we're continuing to favor downside, and we're going to be looking to see how well we hold the low of the day. If not, I'm looking for that 222 to 224 area. If that fails us, we could be looking for a loss below 220. On top of this, let me just fix one last thing. As far as Tesla goes, the 4 hour is also looking bearish. There's no sign of a major bounce yet. We're still looking quite weak. And we're going to be at risk of dipping towards like 220 if this continues. So it still looks bearish. Also, the daily chart is looking relatively weak. Big gap down rejection, and this may continue to fall back down to 220. So I'm seeing weakness on Tesla. As far as SPY goes, I'm seeing weakness on the daily time frame as well. Looks relatively weak. If you look at the 4 hour time frame, we need to see SPY reclaim at the least 524 to rebound. If not, this is going to continue to be at risk of downside. This might continue to fall back down towards the 510 area. Because we're below 518, it's a bad sign. SPYs looks quite bearish. 510 or below is looking very probable. Looks very, very weak unless we close back above 518. It's still looking bearish. QQQ, it needs to get back above 440 to rebound. If not, as long as we're below that, we're looking bearish. And we're going to be at risk of dipping towards 430, if not 425. So keep that in mind. For the IWM, we need to try to reclaim at the least 185. If not, 182 is looking very probable. If not, 180. As we look a bit more bearish. On ES, we're looking weak as we're making lower highs here. We're going to be at risk of not only 5,200, but basically 5,150 as a potential target. So watch and see if 5,200 holds. If not, 5,150 is likely going to be coming. For NQ, looks weak, big rejection. We're watching to see if we could get back above 18,000. If not, I think we easily fall for 17,750, then 17,500. On Bitcoin, we look a bit more bullish. We have 88,000 as resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for an attempt for essentially 89,000. So just watch that, at least moving forward. As far as Tesla goes, like I said before, we're looking quite weak and we're at risk of downside looking at the current trend back down towards 220. On Nvda, we got this big rejection. We need to see if we could reclaim 100 to rebound. If not, we're going to be at risk of dipping lower. We have 95 as support, not to mention 93.5. We're going to be at risk of dipping towards these lows right here below 93, so keep that in mind. For Aapl, we have 198 as our resistance. If we can't get back above at least 196, we're at risk of dipping all the way down towards like 185 in my opinion. So watch 190. If it doesn't hold, 185 is going to likely be coming. We got a downgrade in their price targets from different analysts, expecting 141, giving Aapl a sell rating, and then simultaneously the news involving China potentially retaliating against some deals to be made with the US from different countries if it doesn't really favor China's interests. That news is also quite negative for Aapl, as it does depend a lot on China for now. For Coinbase, we're looking kind of weak right now. Not too bad. We still have an inverse head and shoulder setup, but we're watching to see if we could hold around 172. If not, we could be dipping towards like 168, so be careful. Amazon's looking bearish. We're going to want to see if this holds 168. If not, we could be dumping towards like 163 or below. Meta is looking weak here unless we reclaim 512. We're looking for a dip back down towards like 472 or below. It looks relatively weak. Microsoft's looking weak. We got to see if we could hold 360. If not, I could easily see this hit 355, then 350 as our potential targets. Google's looking weak. We need to get back above 152. If not, we're looking for a move back down to about 147.5. Looking at the VIX, we're looking bullish. Let's see if this closes and holds above 32.8. If so, there's a big gap to fill at 37, so the 40s could be coming. The VIX is looking bullish, and that's a bearish sign for the markets as we're making new lows. So keep that in mind, guys. The bears have a bigger edge right now, and this is dragging Tesla down. So we're going to be looking to see if we could hold 222. If not, 220 could be coming, then eventually 215 as we look bearish. Also, it depends on earnings, of course, coming out for tomorrow. But for now, we look bearish. So I just want to be very blunt about that. Thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.